Flosstube. I'm Amy, I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher, and I'm back today for episode number 10. Can't quite believe we're already at episode number 10, but there you have it. I hope that you all have been doing well and that you are staying healthy and enjoying all of your stitching. Wanted to just quickly share a little bit about what we've been up to before we get into the stitching. So as I normally say, we have been very busy. I am in my busiest season of the year at work right now, and so that has been keeping me in for long days, early mornings, late nights, all of the above. But I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and so I think hopefully in the next couple of weeks things will calm down a little bit. While that's been happening, we have definitely seen the fall weather come in here in the Pacific Northwest. We're having a lot more gray, rainy, windy days, including a couple of power outages in recent weeks. And our fall colors are definitely starting to show up. And so one of the things that I try to do as often as possible is get our doggos out for a little walk. And I was doing that in the evening, but it's getting dark so early now that I've been trying to take them out during my lunch break because I'm working from home still. And so it's been really nice just to get out and enjoy the crisper weather and the cooler breezes and all the pretty colors that are coming in on the trees around us. So I've been enjoying that very much. The other thing that I've been starting to do this time of year, I definitely find myself sort of nesting and settling in and thinking about baking and being cozy, I think as many of us do who live in the Northern Hemisphere. And so I've been starting to do my planning for 2021 stitching, and I've been starting to kit some things up. So one of the things that I have really learned as I've been doing a rotation, particularly as I've started rotating in smaller seasonal pieces, is that particularly with the sort of the shortages that we've been experiencing this year due to COVID, it's been harder to find, as we all know, the flosses and the fabrics that we all are looking for to do our pieces. And so as a person who doesn't tend to keep a lot of stash, that's come back to be difficult for me when I wanted to start some of my projects. And so I have been planning my 2021 a little bit early, thinking about what I really want to work on next year. And then I'm doing what I can right now to kit up to the best I can. So slowly getting a few bits and pieces and fabrics and this and that and specialty fibers in. And we'll continue to try and bring some of those things in so I'm ready for a full 2021. And then finally, one of the things that I'm really excited about is Gary he's been kind of dropping a few hints here and there about, just since we've started these videos, about maybe he'd be interested in trying cross stitch and maybe he'd like to stitch something.
Yeah, there was no coercion.
I resent that you would hint that at all.
I'm going to put up a pop-up that explains what coercion is.
Oh my goodness. Disgraceful. So anyway, we went ahead and we picked out his first PDF pattern this last week and went ahead and ordered some fabric. And so perhaps if all of you encourage him, maybe the next time we make a video, we will have a start for Gary that we can share with all of you. But
because I have nothing else to do.
We will not speak of video games.
Wow. Okay.
All right, it's going to get real awkward here in a second, so we're just going to move right along. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I have to share with you today is an FFO. Those of you who are new to Flosstube, FFOs are fully finished objects. And this is a fully framed piece. So you will remember it's been more than a few weeks now, but a few episodes ago, I was showing you I had a finish on My Love by Madame Chantilly. And I had planned to actually frame this one myself because it's a small piece and I didn't want to pay the price of custom framing and I figured it would be pretty easy to just kind of find the right, a frame that would work for it. And I happened to have it with me and I was just looking at like the bog standard shelf ready pieces that they had at Michael's, a month or so ago. And I was with some friends and they were having some things custom framed and Michael's was having a wicked good sale. And so I was just sort of poking around
From Rhode Island?
Shush. No.
That's our word.
That's your word, but I'm going to borrow it.
You cannot use
it's
our
a
words.
Wicked good sale. So I made the mistake, not a mistake, but perhaps poorly judged. of poking around in the custom framing section. And the price was so good to have this framed that it was almost as cheap as I could have done it by myself. And so I just decided to save myself the trouble. And so here is my fully finished version of My Love by Madame Chantilly. I stitched this on a 32 count charcoal Belfast linen. And this was really, really fun piece to stitch. I really, really enjoyed it. And as those of you that have watched my recent videos know that I've had a bit of a run of challenges with the pieces that I've had custom framed, and this was no exception. So when I did go to pick it up initially, I just briefly looked at it. Yep, looks fine. Took it home, put it on the wall, and realized that Michaels had used a white foam core underneath the gray fabric instead of a black one. And because they pulled it really tight, you could actually see the white foam core coming up through the fabric. And so I gave them a call and I said, I'm not super thrilled with this. Can you do anything for me? And I have to say, both Michaels and Joann's, with all of the sort of framing challenges I've had recently, the service has been exceptional. Both stores, the staff has been really helpful. And so they were like, yep, bring it back in. We'll remount it on a black foam core, no problem. So I did. They got that taken care of for me quite quickly. And so here it is. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. This design, again, was so much fun to stitch. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to bring this out when it's time to decorate for Valentine's Day next year. So there you have it. My Love by Madame Chantilly. Okay. I also have a finish to show you. And this is a finish it's actually both a new start and a finish since the last time we filmed. So you will remember I was planning to start Flowers Always by Liz Matthews. And this is one of those pieces that I had been wanting to start for a while, and I had ordered the fabric for it months ago, and that fabric has not yet arrived. And so what I ended up doing is changing up my game plan completely, picking a totally different fabric color, and that's how I ended up going forward. And I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. So here is my finished piece of Flowers Always by Liz Matthews. I ended up stitching this on a 32 count frosted pumpkin linen by Silk Weaver. And because it's, sort of this corally, pumpkin-y orange tone, my initial plan was to stitch this design on like a pale blue fabric with a dark charcoal gray or black floss. And I felt like because it's an orange color, or a coral color, that if I used black for this particular design, that it would just look too Halloweenish. And that's not the vibe that I was going for with this piece. So I ended up just to keep it a little bit more tonally appropriate, stitched it in DMC 3371. And this was a really quick stitch. It was a real pleasure. Those of you, this is the first Liz Matthews chart that I have stitched, and have to say her charting is fantastic, really easy to read, really, really great to work with. So highly recommend her as a designer. And this was just really beautiful, really enjoyable, and stitched up very quickly for me. So I am actually planning to take this out with me later today, and I'm going to see if I can find a good frame. I'm planning to frame this one up myself. So we'll see what I'm able to come up with. And sorry, it hasn't been ironed yet, but it is what it is. So there we go. Flowers Always by Liz Matthews on 32 count frosted pumpkin by Silk Weaver. All right. The next thing I have to show you is my Fancy Lady piece. I worked on Celtic Autumn by Lavender and Lace. And this particular piece, as you know, so the last time I worked on it, I had made okay progress. And this is a piece that you all know, if you've been watching me for a while, that I have just struggled to make consistent progress on it. It seems like every time this one comes up in my rotation, I'm always having some kind of a busy week, and I just don't make a lot of progress, or as much progress as I hoped. And this time around was no exception. In fact, this time was worse than normal. My progress is so small that I'm hesitant to even show you what I accomplished. But this is where we are on it. So this the last time I worked on it, I was able to finish off this medallion. And I had actually, going into this rotation, I had stitched just like the top part of this, this diagonal here. And I ended up having, just to be able to finish that diagonal, I had to take an extra day from my next rotation just to finish a diagonal, because I was like, I'll be darned if I'm going to not get at least a full diagonal done. So not very much progress. She is certainly coming along. She is really beautiful. I am really hoping that she's going to, this next time around, I think I'll have a little bit more time. I should not jinx myself by saying that, but that's my hope, is that I'll have more time to work on her. And I've been really surprised. This is not a difficult stitch, but I've been really surprised at how long it has taken me to actually get meaningful progress on this design. Just for comparison's sake, I showed the finish that I did on Sabrina by Mirabilia a couple of videos ago. And that design is significantly larger, a lot higher stitch count than this one. And this one is probably going to take me, when it's all said and done, at least as long as it took to stitch Sabrina. And so I don't know why, but this one is just, it feels like it's going to be with me forever. But that's okay. It's a really beautiful design, and I think she's going to absolutely be worth it. One of the things that I have been trying to do is catch up on Flosstube videos, because I've been really behind on those. And so I just, in the last couple of days, was able to catch up with Megan at Georgia Girl Stitching. And it was really fun I was so glad I actually got to watch her most recent video, because she was showing, so she had stitched this particular design with the same conversion last year. And she just recently got back her mounted piece from Keepsakes. And they did a custom mat for her, a 3-layer mat. And it was so pretty. They just did a phenomenal job. And the colors that she selected for her mats were really beautiful. So please go check out Georgia Girl Stitching to see a beautiful version of this finished up. She had also stitched Celtic Winter, and she did an exceptional job on that. It was really, really beautiful. And she did a conversion on that as well. So yeah. So this is, at any rate, this is being stitched, if I hadn't already said, on 32 count. That's really classy, babe.
It's all right. That's good.
Oh my word. Being stitched on 32 count.
Stark Nose's booze.
You guys, this is a downhill train. 32 count Earthen Belfast Linen by Picture This Plus. Oh, and this is the, I should say before I take this off, this is the Janet Granger conversion. I always include a link to that conversion. Janet Granger has it on her blog. And so there's a link to that in the description box below for those of you who are interested. All right, the next thing I worked on was my full coverage design, and that is Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. That is coming along really nicely. So I happened to have a pretty good week of stitching the last time I worked on this. So when you last saw it, you'll remember I was really excited because I've been looking forward very much to getting into the pink part of the inn and really seeing that come together. And so it was really fun this time because I was able to make a lot more progress on that and see more of that come in, and also more of the turret. This is a design that I am stitching on 28 count white Lugana, and I am stitching it 2/1 using a combination of a variation on how I'm doing the half stitch to try and straighten it out. So you can hear more about that on previous videos. But here is where I got to on my most recent rotation. So I got, I think, 2.5, 3 diagonals done. So you can see more of the pink colors coming through. Making good progress on this arch. You're starting to see another decorative element and a window come in here, and made it all the way across the top of this first turret, or this like kind of topper piece of the turret. The other thing I was really pleased about one of the things I decided to do as I started this row of pages, in person, you can tell across the top row of pages, there are several places where you can actually see the page breaks. And I really didn't want to have that on this particular design. And so I decided rather than doing breaks between the pages, just to stitch all the way across. And so it's taking a little bit longer to get page finishes that way, but it's still the same amount of stitching. So I finally have completed all the way through the bottom of page 7. So page 7 is now done. I'm all the way across the top of page 8 and starting to stitch into page 9. And really, again, this is one, the confetti is really, really heavy. And I will tell you, I will not cry when I put in the last of these white sections on this piece, which is going to be a long time. But that I am finding it really challenging to stitch these really light grays and blues and whites that are all in those white sections on the white. They just disappear into it. And so it's a lot more challenging, but the effect is absolutely beautiful and it's worth all of the time and effort. So really, really enjoying this. I find myself sitting back and staring at it sometimes just to take in the progress and take in it, because it's just, to me, it's fascinating that that's what emerges with, you know, with all those different colored threads coming together. So anyway, that is my progress on Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. All right, there we go. Sorry, I'm going to get a sip of coffee. Because we're keeping
What?
Because we're keeping it classy like that. Okay, my next whip. My next whip is my April Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks.
Only I can break.
Oh, pardon me.
You have to keep going.
Okay.
No funny for you.
No, none of that for me. The last time I worked on my April Cottage, you'll remember it was a brand new start for me. And I had just started stitching the border. I actually hadn't even finished the border across the top. I was just starting to put in a little bit of clouds in the first part of the word April. And I'm really pretty satisfied with what I've been able to accomplish since then. So as with all the cottages, I'm stitching this on 28 count mushroom Lugana with the called for flosses. And this is where we are right now. I'm actually going to turn this. It's a little easier to hold this way, I think. Yeah. So this is where we are. As you can see, I did finish the top border. I finished the clouds, the word April. I've made some pretty decent progress on getting the cottage stitched in, and I'm about halfway through the tree. And I've got those 2 cute bluebirds and a carrot. And so I'm really happy with where this is, where I've gotten to with this. This week, as I was working on it, I started contemplating making a little bit of a personalization. I won't tell you what that is just yet, but I need to pull out, I need to see if I can make it work from a stitch count perspective. So we'll see if that can happen, but that's something that I am definitely looking into doing, and we'll keep you posted. But this is where we are on the April Cottage. As I kind of thought it might, this one is stitching up a little bit more quickly than the March Cottage did, and I'm really enjoying working on it. It's just very cheerful, and I'm loving those purples and blues and pinks. So that's where we are on that. And then the final whip I have to show you is actually a new start. So you will remember I have been talking quite a bit over the last couple of months about, I've been debating about whether or not to add a new slot to my rotation. Because I've found that I do have some charts that don't fit cleanly or perfectly into the 4 sort of thematic slots that I have. They're not fancy ladies, they're not full coverage, they're not samplers, and they're not seasonal or gift stitching. But despite that, I really want to stitch them. And so I've thought about, do I want to add a 5th spot? And I haven't quite been able to bring myself to do it, however much I want to stitch those designs, because I really like to be able to stitch on all of my whips at least once a month and put a good solid week in on them. And so, and somebody had suggested at one point, well, maybe why don't you try working on your wild card on the weekends? And I thought about it because it's a great idea. But what I find is that the vast majority of my progress on my pieces happens over when I stitch on the weekends. And so if I were to use my weekends just for that particular design, I would make a lot of progress on that, but not a lot of progress on my actual, my other spots in the rotation. And because I'm a progress stitcher, I just don't want to give that progress up. And I feel like it would take me so much longer to finish things. So what I ended up doing is over the last couple of months, as I've been doing more smalls in my seasonal slot and my seasonal gift spot, I've been finding that those designs tend to take me like 1 to 1.5 rotations to complete. And so what I decided to try doing is when I finish something in that slot, and perhaps even in some of the other spots, having a new, taking the rest of the time that's available in that rotation, whether it's 1 day or 3 days or what have you, to work on a wild card piece that I want to start. So when I finished my Flowers Always, I had like a good couple of hours left on the final day of my rotation. And I decided to have a new start that's one of my wild card starts. So I don't know how often this will come out. We will see, but, and it's not a ton of progress, don't get all excited, but I did finally get a new start on Bush Market.
Sorry, it looks like you blew your nose on it.
Oh, stop it. That's so rude.
I won't show a close up to point out what I was referring to.
How rude.
The truth. Look how far I got.
So this is my teeny tiny start on Bush Market. Bush Market is one of the beautiful African designs that I purchased from Hannah's Needlecraft earlier this year. And this is the one where all the ladies are sitting out with their beautiful produce underneath the tree. And so I got to start on the tree at the top here.
That's why it's green.
That's why it's green, because it's a tree. I am stitching this on 32 count vintage country mocha, and really enjoying this so far. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun, and it seems like it might stitch up a little bit quickly. We'll see. Probably not. I'll probably still be working on this a year from now. We'll see, but I will still be enjoying it if I am. So that's what I have going on with that. All right. You know, I just looked down at my table here and realized I have a whip that I didn't show you. So the last whip that I'm going to show you today that I've been working on, I have put in some time on my Loose Feathers sampler by Blackbird Designs, and I'm working on the summer section. This one really also very much enjoying this. It's such a beautiful design. The last time you saw this, I had put in a decent amount of the border. I had started the bird. I had started a big flower motif, and it was really coming along. And this time, I'm really, really pleased with what I accomplished. So I'm going to just quickly show you. This one, I should say, I'm stitching on a 35 count Irish cream linen by R&R Reproductions. It is the called for color, but not the called for count. Here we go. And I'm using all the called for flosses. So this is where we are right now. I was able to put in more of the alphabet across the top and across the bottom. I'm almost finished with this bird. The border is totally finished over here and over here. I've got a few more motifs that have gone in. They tend to be the lighter colored motifs. So I was telling you the last time I worked on this that a lot of these colors really blend into the fabric, and so it's a little bit hard to see. But I did finish this big flower up here that you probably can't see at all on camera. Finished these two motifs, started to put in a strawberry, and a little bit more of the vine with the berries. So really enjoying how this is coming along. I might be overestimating my ability to stitch quickly, but I think that if I put in a reasonable amount of time the next time this comes up in my rotation, that I might actually be able to get it finished and perhaps get a start on the next chart in this sampler, which is Autumn. So we'll see. I hope so. But really enjoying this. It's so, so beautiful.
Is that one of the needle minders we made?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to make sure to point that out. This is one of the needle minders that Gary made. And I just thought it was so perfect. The colors are great, and it's got these great little birds on it. And because this sampler has birds all the way across it, I really enjoy having this needle minder on this piece for when I'm stitching it. Okay. Oh my goodness. So that is definitely it for all the whips. As you can see, it's been several weeks since we filmed because I had a lot of whips to show you. So we just had one question that I wanted to make sure we answered this week, and that came from Colleen Isaac. And Colleen asked, do you put glass on your finishes? Because I've been showing several framed and fully framed pieces in the last couple of videos. And I think it's a great question. My answer to that is usually no. So I have a couple of pieces that do have glass on them that are framed. One is the Purity Strength Truth that I made for Gary last year. And that does have a museum quality glass on it. And then I also, I think in the last video, I showed you my finish on Pumpkin Patch Farm by Victoria Sampler. That one has glass on it simply because when I ordered the custom framing last year, I forgot to tell them no glass. And I know that this is like one of those kind of controversial topics, or everybody has strong opinions in the stitching community on glass or no glass. For me, I choose no glass, partially because it's a great cost savings. Glass adds a lot of expense when you're ordering custom framing, and so I tend not to do it. And I also I tend not to use glass because I feel like it interferes with my ability to see and enjoy the texture of the stitches themselves, the beads, all of that. And I like to see it without the glass on it. I know there's the question of preservation. Personally, I have pieces that are almost 30 years old that are framed that the colors are still great. They haven't faded. You can dust it carefully with I use like a little Swiffer. I know some people have used canned air. I haven't tried that. I'm not sure if I want to, but I'm thinking about it. But, you can keep them clean carefully. And frankly, in my family, I don't have any biological children. I'm pretty sure my stepson is not really going to want any of my cross stitch when I'm gone. My niece and nephew may want a couple of pieces when I'm gone, but I don't know that anybody is really going to, there's nobody that I need to.
It's exceptionally dreary.
I know, isn't that sad? All of my stuff's going to Goodwill. But at the end of the day, I'm stitching it for me and the joy that it gives me and the beauty that it brings to my home. And so I'm not stitching with a mind toward preservation, because there are so many of you that will have all of your beautiful pieces in museums 100 years from now. So on that happy note, the answer is no. I usually don't stitch with glass. I may change my mind in the future, but for now, that's the direction I go. Okay, so I thought I would share just a little bit of haul with you guys, a few stash quisitions, and then tell you about what I'm going to be up to between now and the next time we film. So as I had mentioned, I have been slowly starting to kit up the things that I would like to stitch in 2021. And as a part of that, I couldn't resist a few charts that have been on my wish list for a while. And since I haven't bought many charts lately, I thought I would share with you the little indulgences that I gave myself. So the first one is I have added to my Songbirds Garden series with one of the ones that I've been eyeballing a long time. This is Winter Wisdom by Cottage Garden Samplings. I just love the colors in this. I've seen it finished. I saw it finished earlier this year at Acorns and Threads, and it was so, so pretty. And so I really look forward to at some point in the future stitching this. I also picked up Spring by the Cricket Collection. I think this series of charts is absolutely adorable. I already have all of the months of the year in my stash, and so I'm excited to add the actual seasons themselves as well. So that is Spring by Cricket Collection. I also got Autumn by Cricket Collection. One of the ladies in my Stitchy group, which sadly, until things are, until it's safe to meet again, we haven't been getting together. We used to meet at Michael's once a week and stitch. And one of the ladies in my local stitchy groups did this one last year, and it was really beautiful. And it was on my wish list way back then. And then when I saw her do it, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely got to happen. So I finally got my autumn chart. Another one that has been sitting on my wish list for a very long time is Penny Pumpkin by the Scarlet House. I think this one will probably be a pretty quick stitch, and looking forward to this. And this might even make it into my 2021 list of priorities. We'll see, but really love that. And then I got, this is Delivering the Trees by Homespun Elegance. Super, super cute. And you'll remember earlier this year, I stitched Delivering Plenty by the same designer. And so I wanted to pick up a couple more seasonally themed designs because these are the perfect size to fit on my little bike that's on the wall. And so this one will be a great one to have maybe next year as well for the holidays. So yeah, Delivering Trees. And then the final one that I got, also by Homespun Elegance, Delivering Posies. Same reason. This would make a great summer, spring and summer chart for that bike. So looking forward to stitching all of these at some point in the hopefully near future. Although let's be honest, it may not be as near as I hope. So what am I going to be working on between now and the next video? I am going to be starting back up on my Celtic Autumn. And looking forward to working on that, and fingers crossed that we'll get at least one diagonal done. But yeah, looking forward to working on her. I will also continue to work on my April Cottage. And because I had my finish on Flowers Always by Liz Matthews, I am looking forward to having a new start in my seasonal category. So this one I have had waiting around for a while, and I'm really looking forward to getting going on it. I'm going to be stitching Easter Parade by Blackbird Designs. I'm going to use all of the called for floss, but I am stitching it on a 32 count in the pink by R&R Reproductions. And I think those flosses are actually going to look beautiful on this. The original design is stitched on more of a cream colored fabric. It's actually Alabaster, also by R&R, but I think pink is going to be really lovely. And I would like to stitch both the bunny and this beautiful basket down here. So we'll see how much I'm able to get finished. So that is what I have in plans. Looking forward to it, and we'll continue to be enjoying autumn. I'm also going to get started. So I am the holiday cookie maker for my family and for some of my friends, frankly. And so this is also the time of year where I start taking a little bit of time to begin making cookie dough in advance of Christmas. So everybody has their own favorite, and everybody's favorites are different. So I end up making about 7 or 8 different kinds of cookies for Christmas, a couple different kinds of caramel, some other treats and snacks. And so because there's so much that's involved, I do a lot of prep work and freeze my dough heading into the holidays. And so I'm starting that process. So that'll be fun over the next couple weeks to get that rolling. And that's about it. So if you like this video, please hit like. Please subscribe if you haven't already and you like what we're showing. Leave a comment. I am trying to keep up on them. I do read all of them and really enjoy them. It's so great to hear from all of you, and you guys, so many of you make us laugh. You're so encouraging and so sweet, and we really appreciate the time that you put into your comments. So please do that as well. You can follow us on Instagram at globetrotting_stitcher. You're also welcome to send us an email to globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com. And I think that about does it. So we will see you in the next couple of weeks. In the meanwhile, please stay safe. Keep wearing your mask. I know it gets old, and I know we're all getting tired of socially distancing, but as we move into, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere moving into the colder season, it's really important that you take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Please be safe, because we love you and we want all of you here with us. So take care.
You're kind of free with my love there.
Yes, I am. I regret nothing. So take care, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.